have one you first.
I guess, yeah.
Okay, so virtual meetings. So we need to develop kind of a consistent policy across the county about what we want to do with this. So in the past, this was put in place because of COVID. I am second, yes. In the past, this was put in place because of COVID, so we could make sure that health and safety measures were followed. In 2020, 2021, into 2022, some committees were using virtual options, some committees weren't. We also had some issues with members of our staff sitting on these meetings for hours at a time. That to me is a waste of taxpayer dollars. You know, we're paying them to perform a job for us, and it's not in their job description to be sitting in on these meetings. So I guess I'm looking for guidance from the committee about how we want to handle this. Do we want no blue jeans? Do we want blue jeans for everybody? Do we want a telephone option?
Number one, didn't it state somewhere in the handbook that an employee was attending a meeting that they had to do it on their own time? Unless they were needed to be there.
Right.
I believe that was taken out of the handbook.
It was taken out the last time?
I believe it was, but that's
they got
part of
back
my
in there.
PTO policy that we'll get to. I put it back in.
And we have no way to track this computer usage.
To my knowledge, no, we all get off the same IP address. So if you're, is Ellie sitting in on a meeting for 4 hours, I can't isolate that to Ellie's computer.
What is the feedback you got?
Some of them are fine with it, some of them want it on. Some members of like boards or committees want just a clear set of expectations. Like, can they attend that meeting virtually? Do they have to come in? There's also rules around closed session. So if we are going to allow board members to attend virtually, cannot stay virtual if we go into closed session. That board member would have to be kicked off.
We shut that off. Right.
But if a board member's on that, he's gonna be,
Board member.
He's gonna be stuck off.
Yep.
See, I'll admit, I was a strong proponent of this, but when these issues arose as of late that a lot of folks don't know about, county didn't have much choice. It was getting abused. And the comments that were being put on in the chat about different individuals and not being able to track that back, it was ridiculous. So there was a handful that ruined it for a lot of, it was a great tool, but a handful that ruined it. I don't know how, I mean, unless, the only way we can leave this in place is if we come up with a way to, we have to be able to monitor it.
Should we require like a login or something? I suppose
They can use any fake email address, any fake name. There's so much anonymity with the internet.
And the public can do whatever they want.
Right.
You know, I could care less. I mean, if the public wants to get on, they have that right. But employees that are spending the taxpayers' money, that's a different scenario. That's what started all this. So unless we can figure out a way to overcome that obstacle, unless we're gonna pass an ordinance that employees cannot be on virtual at all, they have to appear in person, well, that's gonna upset some.
Yeah, it's
So
simple.
you have no way to monitor who's who on it.
But then you wind up in the other scenario where an employee has to be at the meeting, and we've moved some of these to the evenings or late afternoons for those of us that are working full time. Now that employee is on county time to come in here for that meeting. Yeah. Whereas if it's if they can just get on, they're on for 15 or 20 minutes at home, 5 will get you 10, they're gonna continue doing what they're doing, and the county isn't gonna get billed for the hour or 2 hours they sit here, not knowing when we're gonna get to whatever they have to speak on the agenda.
I mean, tonight's not the first time I've heard about it. I've heard about it since this happened.
Yeah, so have I.
Because I was when I went out and I said, hey, that's great, you guys can get on. But like I said, Buffalo's been the other side of the story. So probably not. The reason it was done was that it watch over how money was being spent for the taxpayers' money.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I know in zoning we use a lot because the public comment section. So a lot of, we have all the, public hearings, meetings, so it's definitely useful there.
We use it quite a bit in extension too. Lori Bellatricious will come in many times on that because she can't be here, so she'll come in and give her report through.
But that's different. We do with our attorneys still, but I mean, look at what it says the county, you pay them $300 an hour to drive here.
Correct.
That's another $1,500 bill. It's a travel.
Should maybe we actually just leave it, like get that policy back in place that we apparently lost, and then the employees, if they may not catch you, if you do catch you, we have to disciplinary policy, you're gonna be facing it.
The problem is, I think there's something similar there now. How do you enforce it?
We've got no way to track it, so no way to enforce it.
They're taking the risk that they don't get caught, their coworker do. I mean,
It could be
just like, anytime you break a rule, you're taking a risk. I mean, the other option maybe is to try it for a couple months without it and see how, what detrimental it is or not, maybe it isn't as detrimental. Because I mean, it's nice to have a finality, but like I said, in zoning, it seemed like it would be a challenge, maybe it wouldn't be either if we.
What was it? I know it was legal to never hear it prior to COVID.
That's why it was put in place. I
Right.
remember. Was strictly for
I mean, you never heard nothing about it prior to that. Somebody wanted to know what was going on in the meeting, they attended the meeting.
And isn't that the policy that was used to bring it forward at that time? There really wasn't a policy put in place for this.
Not really, no.
Then it was the COVID. It was based around
The health issues with the COVID is what,
so that we
and I
could
think
have
there
board,
was-
we could have meetings.
and I think there was actually some funding handed down, I don't know if it was federal or state, to implement some of that stuff so the governments could continue to operate and thus have your social distancing or, you know, not going public or whatever.
Well, I personally like public interaction meetings, but my problem is how do we get around the employee issue? And I don't know. I've thought about this quite hard, unless Bugs has an idea. I mean, he's here, but I'm not into this, but I don't know what you.
We were able to pick out 4 people that were in the meeting. That information was turned over, but they were all people that were here in the meeting. Picked out 2 that were not here. One that was in Verizon, that was in Barron County. I don't remember the other one, but there were still some that couldn't be picked out. But that's, Blue Jeans isn't meant to be an investigative tool. It's meant to be a video conferencing tool. But there's plenty of options. You can give somebody at the beginning of the meeting their 5 minutes to talk, and after that, shut it down. You can shut the comments off. Whoever's running the meeting can shut anything they need off if somebody becomes disruptive or belligerent or disrespectful, whatever the policy would be. You can kick them that way, or you can put them back in a waiting room. You can add a waiting room to it so that whoever jumps into the meeting, that the moderator has to say, yes, this person can come in. And while they're sitting in the waiting room, you can have anything from like policies or polite behavior, what's expected of that person in there. You know, no cussing, no swearing, no whatever you want it to be. You know, so they would have, everyone would have an understanding of exactly what they're allowed to do in the meeting and what they're not allowed to do in the meeting, you know. I mean, there's a ton of options. And then if you guys don't like Blue Jeans, there's a bunch of other ones. I mean, you got Zooms, you got Teams, you got, you know, just a bunch of other options. You know,
Is there a way for us to monitor abuse of the system or the privilege by county employees? How we're gonna address that issue?
The ones that we were able to monitor were all county employees. You know, we could tell what computer they were on, and then we track it back.
Because I'm sure it's handy for department heads too.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, to be listening in here, I got something on this agenda, but I don't need to be there for 3 hours.
Right.
I mean, I get that. But I think we have other people that are listening in that it really isn't any of they're not a department head. It really, I mean, I get it, they wanna know, but they work here, so they're getting paid to work here, not to sit in on meetings.
I would like to be able to say that if you or anyone says, hey, the county's position on this is that employees don't listen to this, you know, at their, you know, using their county resources or anything like that, unless you're on PTO or something like that. If they choose to break it, then that's a disciplinary that'll probably go through Ellie then instead, or if it gets up to, then it'll go through Ashley. I would like to think that our employees are respectful enough to follow whatever rules you guys give them. You know, they want to be respected just as much as you guys do. I think that's a give and take. So if you tell them, hey, from this point on, you know, November 1st, whatever, employees are no longer allowed to use, and then insert whatever you guys want it to be, you know, I would hope that they would follow it, especially if you guys make it a policy.
So you can track to the courthouse or track to individual computers?
We could do both.
That's what I was wondering, how we can monitor it.
So if you can track to a computer, we can narrow down who had access to that computer or.
We could, but there was 4 that I couldn't. For whatever reason, the software just didn't take it. The other ones, like I said, we got one back. One was Ashley's, and I think one was Jamie's and stuff like that. I mean, but she was running the meeting, so I mean, so you know, when we're looking at, you know, those kind of things, you know, we were able to track those down. But again, 4 of them were employees that we know were in the meeting, and then there was 4 that were unknown. And like I said, there was 2 civilians or 2.
So it sounds like there's possibly other options out there for us to use that would be more user-friendly, maybe, too? Or don't know?
I don't know. The 2 biggest ones are Blue Jeans and Zoom. You know, with you know, like Teams and stuff like that coming in behind them. But we've pretty much used Blue Jeans since the beginning of COVID year. So I mean, that's not what I'm familiar with. Zoom's used by the state, by the courts. You know, we've got some experience with that too. Yeah, there's a bunch of options.
They're still gonna come back to the same problem.
I don't know what data the other ones collect. You know, some may be much more, you know, where they data mine and, you know, they keep all the data logged in when everything like that. Like Blue Jeans will tell you, you know, a lot of information, how many minutes, you know, what was your connection, your bandwidth, you know, did it drop out? It'll tell you all those kind of things. But it really isn't meant to be used as an investigative tool. You know, to say, okay, this person's here, this person's here, this person's here. It can somewhat, but it's not its main purpose.
So now if a person was to call in with their, or log in with their cell phone, I'm going to assume that it would recognize that phone number?
Yeah, one of the people
Or
that.
smartphone, I should say, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's okay. Either way, actually. You know, even if they use like their cell phone and connect it to a hotspot or receive McDonald's or something like that using somebody's Wi-Fi. But again, there's nothing to stop them from coming in this room right now, hooking into our Wi-Fi, you know, our guest Wi-Fi, and be our RIP. You know, so they can do that too. The one that was on cellular, like I said, that went back over to Barron, it's actually through the Rice Lake. But you could see that was a Verizon phone, you know, on the Verizon tower in the IP I mean, you can track them a little bit, but it's just not what that programs are made for. They're supposed to be just for video conferencing and let people communicate together.
I wonder if in the interest of transparency, if we had to leave the things the way they are right now long enough for to write some kind of a policy stating for employees here that, I know it might be hard to catch them, but I'll be honest with you, the truth always comes out in the end, one way or another. That allows the public to at least get back in for those that can't come or whatever, or board members that aren't here with the understanding, even with a board member, that we have to go in closed session for something, they cannot stay on blue jeans in this closed session.
That'll have to be part of whatever we come up with.
Yeah.
Because now we're entering into a different era. And we had this discussion briefly, if you remember, right at a county board meeting.
Yes, we
about
did.
this. And being we were doing it under COVID, it was one thing. But if we go down this other road, we have to become more strict with it, and we're gonna have to make more rules around it.
Correct.
If I recall.
That was kind of the gist of what I remember, yes.
It's not just as simple as turning it on and turning it off. I mean, when it comes to, that's what I recall, and I think my recent was the one that gave us that legal consultation on it.
Well,
Your take on that, Ashley?
Okay, so you're recommending blue jeans like across the board too, because there are some committees who have never done blue jeans. So I think we just, whatever we do, I think we just need to be consistent.
Across the board, yeah, but I think it kind of needs to stay kind of closed up for another month until you can get a policy put together that goes through, that speaks to the employees that you
And
are,
board members.
and the board members with part of it, but let me break it apart, Jim, speaks to the employees that, you know, you're here hired to do a job. If you do not have business in this meeting, you can't spend 3, 4, 5 hours of taxpayers' time just listening to this meeting. You're here to do your job. I think it needs to speak to board members that, you know, with all of these changes that have come about, and COVID being what it is now compared to what it was, that if the boards have to go into closed session, that cannot be done via blue jeans or any kind of a video thing.
I would say we need to come up with something, and then it would, I would, it needs to look like
Yeah.
what we do.
But I agree with you, Jim. I like the public's input. I mean,
I do too.
that's
But-
what we're here for.
But we had to do it.
So I just, on Sunday, I got accosted outside of Walmart by a member of the public who
From
said,
Sheldon.
you guys have to, he wants everything live streamed, at least the county board meetings. He said he was in via phone evidently for the last county board meeting. And he said, you know, that public access, you know, openness, transparency, and he said he wants that continued and everything. And then on one of my committees, someone tried to get in and I got chewed out. It wasn't a member of the committee, but somebody else who chewed me out because we did not have on the top of the agenda how to get in via phone or blue jeans, because that had been taken off until this gets kind of resolved and everything. And so I never really answered them at all. But it's something that, you know, they're interested in, and people want to do it at least by phone rather than video, you know, or something. But I got chewed up because it was not on the top of the agenda, you know, that usually has the address and the blue jeans connection. And then this other one on Sunday, you know, they wanted the board meetings live streamed. I said, well, we have a problem. He said, well, that's an internal problem, fix it. Public is the right
Well,
person to intervene.
and I get it, it's like, but to go back to what I said earlier, it was put in place during COVID for board members to be able to attend meetings. And not in case we couldn't be here, so that the county could still conduct business. That was the start, and then it just kind of flourished from there. It was kind of an it's kind of like an emergency type situation that we were allowed to do. I can't remember exactly how it was working. And then it just kind of stayed, but now.
Well, now everything's
backfired.
more transparent, you know, they want everything.
They got used to it,
online.
which is great.
Yeah.
I mean, let them, like, hey. Because now, look what we have. Now we have people getting wrong information or hearing it secondhand from someone else because they're not listening to the meetings, and it's getting misconstrued. That's what I think is going on with it.
I'll speak just a little bit. I'll try and be as brief as I can. Basically, I'm hoping my wife will finally accept the fact that she should be retired and work part-time, and would be able to spend time on vacation, and then I could call in. So I really think it should be open. And most people in the room know I've been a big advocate for putting at least our county board meetings on YouTube. Other counties do it, you know. And
Amen.
But I don't even know if we can put even committee meetings on there, because then they'll have an option. If they want to do it, they can watch it at home.
That we need to check into.
I know.
That was, Ron Grayson was very, they did not want us doing it, if I remember, but maybe they have a different opinion.
Other counties are doing it.
Well, and maybe they have a
Lots.
different opinion since COVID.
Lots.
So,
It has to be approved by county board.
Yeah, all right, except that.
Right.
but he said, and
But
maybe
that-
he's got a different opinion than this attorney, but the one that time I remember said he recommended us not.
Oh.
It was fine to be live, but he recommended us not. to
Not
be
against lawyers before.
Right, but,
And I know they do, because I've watched them on various places. I've been, I watched the Marathon County one, and a few others, Chippewa.
but if we record them, don't forget that we are the keeper of the record of that.
Well, that's not my specialty. I just want to be able to
Well,
watch it.
just gonna add
And
one
if
more
the
thing.
employees can see a committee meeting at home, speed through it to get to what they want, then you really raise the stakes on if you catch them working here. You know what you say, 4 for sure, maybe 8. We don't even know that. But that's fine. I've been after that before I was after a human resources person. It'd be an option.
We do have a YouTube channel that's prepared and ready to go for these meetings. At one point, that was something Andy wanted to do. So we've got it ready, set up. Just a matter of you guys giving us the okay.
Again, I don't think we have.
Oh no, I know you guys.
Yeah,
You
we
guys
have to
can. I
do
know it's a bigger
policy or
discussion.
something.
Yeah.
I'm just letting you know the resources are there. They're already set up and ready to go.
Yeah, and that ain't us, Jim, that's how it works.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it sounds like right now she's looking for us to make a recommendation. We have to do it this
Correct.
moment where we're sitting at now.
Correct.
Well, from my understanding is from the legal standpoint, we have no other option but to temporarily cease and desist them.
That's what you want. Open meetings law doesn't require virtual access, it just requires what we're doing now. So, you know,
I think, like I said, I think I like the word for it. I think it's a transparency to the public, which I am all for. But I think Jim is right. We gotta hold it back long enough for you to get policy in place to counteract the employment using it to get out of work. And then we can re-implement it.
Yeah,
Where anyone else is at.
we just gotta make sure we're doing it right,
Yeah.
because it was done over the whatever it was. Well, but anyhow, that's what got stated for, and we just need to double check that.
More instruction.
so you want like 0 virtual access, so like we have a net on Thursday. If someone needs to present something, can they call me?
I've got no issue with that right now, but I think this can be resolved by basically the next personnel meeting and, something was brought forth. By the time we get in December board meeting, we'll probably be voting on that.
Are you gonna let the general public participate in the meeting?
Only on public comment, yes. And that's the only thing they have by law here.
So, I was wondering if we opened it up for there to be a discussion of anything.
They
Why
can
not?
cut that right off.
Well,
I mean,
I'm not a stupid person.
they're gonna have a time limit, that's the same as if they're here.
yeah,
So-
comment.
For public.
Yeah, for public
Yeah,
comment.
that's it though.
Yeah, yeah, no, the public shouldn't, public comment only.
Okay, that's.
I mean, that's how we run board meetings, isn't it? I mean, that's
Yeah.
how everybody runs it.
Terry, remember that's budget meeting, we probably gonna talk about this kind of thing.
Well, it won't be ready.
It won't be ready by the next week's meeting, but we should, maybe we'll have it ready by December.
Okay.
Okay, well, on that